The Dune universe is expanding right before our eyes. The series, the foundations of which were laid by Denis Villeneuve, recently came out on HBO and has already managed to make a splash. Perhaps the most important thing is that many have already dubbed it Game of Thrones with a touch of Star Wars. The statement is more than serious, but is it really so? Have the authors really managed to create an interesting sci-fi series in the Frank Herbert universe? We will talk about all this in the next few minutes, and at the end of the video we will discuss the ending of the first episode, because it left many questions. Make yourself comfortable, because it will be, as always, interesting. First, let's explain where the roots come from. The Dune Prophecy series is based on the novel Sisterhood of Dune, which was written by Frank Herbert's son, Brian, together with Kevin Anderson. These novels were written after the writer's death, so they still cause controversy among fans. Are they a money grab or a sincere attempt to enrich the popular science fiction universe? However, regardless of our opinion, HBO decided to give the green light to the series and set a course for expanding the franchise. The plot takes place 10,000 years before the birth of Paul Atreides and, accordingly, the events that we saw in the two parts of Denis Villeneuve. Therefore, you should not count on the appearance of familiar characters. Before us is a prequel focused on the rise of the Bene Gesserit order in the Dune universe. The order and its prophecy occupy a central place, because the entire storyline of Paul Atreides is connected with it. But, whatever one may say, the films show the order only in general terms. How did it become so influential? Where does the voice's power come from? Why do the heads of the great houses listen to the Bene Gesserit sisters? The series is going to give us answers to all these questions, and that is why it is needed, to expand knowledge about the Dune universe. Literally from the first minutes, the series begins to do this. The opening scene tells us the background of the formation of the Order, and at the same time, the state of affairs in the galaxy. We are very briefly told about the Butlerian Jihad and its influence on the great houses. Interestingly, this is a kind of stumbling block that many viewers noted. The first episode tries to fit in a lot of new information. However, it should be noted that in the pilot episode of Game of Thrones there were many times more names and heroes, and it was received in about the same way. Large universes have no choice but to gallop through the basics, and only then build a plot. Therefore, the first episode of Dune Prophecy does exactly the same thing. As for the plot itself, it cannot boast of epicness and scope yet. Villeneuve's films were almost monumental. Each frame was aesthetically pleasing, and the background music gave even more weight to what was happening. The Prophecy series seems to be trying to do the same. And visually it really does look like the films. There are no excesses in details or overloaded scenes. A kind of visual asceticism that was chosen for the film adaptation. So in terms of visuals, the show definitely feels like a spiritual successor. Prophecy brings back some of that visual magic, especially in its depiction of the Bene Gesserit. Their headquarters retains an architectural style similar to what we saw in the films, and there are echoes of Hans Zimmer's alien artistry in the soundtracks. However, the films were much more expansive. We saw armies clashing, guerrilla raids, large-scale battles, and more. The show doesn't have that yet. Villeneuve's vision is so unique and expansive that it's hard for the show to live up to its big-screen parent. The show seems torn between wanting to do its own thing and wanting to be stylistically faithful to the films. But let's be clear, this is just the first episode. Its purpose is to introduce us to the main characters and set the stage for the story. All the action is probably being saved for later. We are introduced to the key players, their goals, and how they hope to achieve them. Along the way, we learn about the various planets that the characters inhabit in the vast universe. Dune Prophecy lifts the veil of secrecy on the inner workings of the Empire, which seemed huge in the films, but looks small in the series. Therefore, in terms of pacing, the opening episode is still weak. It is quite slow and may not appeal to those who are used to new series dumping all the juicy stuff on the viewer right away. With the series Prophecy, the picture is completely different. It already has a name, which means fans will definitely watch it. Perhaps that is why the scriptwriters were in no hurry and focused on the heroes, and not on the universal threat. Speaking of the characters, there are no questions about the actors yet. Western critics and viewers especially praise Emily Watson and Olivia Williams, who play the Harkonnen sisters. They have the most screen time, and both are really nice to watch. Mark Strong also plays the confused Emperor very well. However, we would like to separately mention Travis Fimmel. After his phenomenal and beloved Ragnar Lothbrok, he received invitations to several major projects. Among the films, the most famous was Warcraft, but he also starred in a very solid series Raised by Wolves, which is also related to science fiction. In the series Prophecy, he plays the mysterious Desmond Hart, an original character created specifically for the series. The first episode ends with an unexpected twist with his participation, and his acting and mannerisms are very interesting to watch. His actions are still unclear, but there are clear connections between him and the Bene Gesserit Order, which will be revealed during the season. It looks like he'll be playing a central role in all of this. The series also emphasizes the use of supernatural powers, from the voice to Desmond's mysterious technique. In the films, Villeneuve tried to minimize anything that resembles magic, but the Prophecy series tries to stand out and still goes its own way. Overall, the opening episode is steeped in political intrigue, and the motives of many characters remain opaque. That's why the series has been dubbed the new Game of Thrones. Especially since it was released under the wing of HBO. However, don't expect too much from the first episode. It looks great and is reminiscent of the first film Dune by Denis Villeneuve in terms of tempo. In terms of visuals, music, and acting, this is a quality project that can be recommended to all fans of science fiction. It looks good and feels confident. However, it still lacks dynamics and tension in the narrative. Perhaps these are the main drawbacks that may prevent you from immersing yourself in the world of Dune in the format of a series, unless the authors have prepared something out of the ordinary for us. Some viewers were disappointed with the approach to building the universe. There is a gap of 10,000 years between the Prophecy series and Villeneuve's films, while the technology has remained unchanged. The force shields, weapons, and starships have remained virtually unchanged. The claim is that humanity is stagnating and not evolving. After all, many changes should have occurred over such a huge period of time. Even in the modern world, the difference between human life 2,000 years ago and now is enormous. However, one can both agree and argue with this opinion. The authors deliberately took this step to ensure continuity with the films. They did not want the projects to be radically different from each other. Therefore, the appearance of the series is really similar to the films, primarily due to the environment and recognizable elements. At the moment, critics have shown 4 out of 6 episodes, and all the reviews are positive. But the opinions of viewers are still divided. It is too early to draw conclusions. Not everyone likes Villeneuve's trilogy either, but its value and quality are beyond doubt. Perhaps the series will suffer a similar fate. In any case, we plan to rewatch it in its entirety, because high-quality science fiction is not often released on streaming. And now a few words for those who have already watched the first episode and wondered, how did Desmond survive the worm attack? The Emperor wakes up from a bad dream in the middle of the night and finds a hologram chip left by Desmond. The recording shows how Desmond, by some miracle, remains alive after the attack of a giant sandworm. This scene echoes the vision of Reverend Mother Raquel at the beginning of the episode. She foresaw the destruction of everything at the hands of the tyrant. How Desmond is connected to this remains a mystery, but it is clear that he will play a key role. It seems that one season will not end at all. Be sure to share your impressions. Has the series Dune Prophecy managed to hook you from the first episode, or has it not worked out so well so far? Well, that's all for today, friends. See you in new videos very soon.